Brazil is no stranger to serial killer cases, having experienced acts of serial murder since about 1863. But it's not particularly common to find a copycat serial killer in the country, although there is a notable example of such who struck during the late 2000s. Between July 2nd and October 3rd of 2008, a teenager in the Brazilian town of Rio Brilhante, inspired by religion and a more prolific serial killer, decided that he would kill people that he deemed impure. This is the story of Dyonathan Celestrino. We will begin with the life of our perpetrator before his crimes. Our subject is Dyonathan Celestrino. He was born on January 5, 1992, in the municipality of Rio Brilhante, in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. While there is very little known about his family or his early life, we do know that he was a very strange boy. Dyonathan was known by his friends to be a flirt, and would unsuccessfully try to hit on a sister of one of his friends. Dyonathan was described by his teachers and peers as a quiet and good student. He was also known to tease his peers by calling them inferior. Dyonathan was also known to sleep in cemeteries, and at one point formed his own Satanist cult. He would also make an Orchid account, which he named Dog Hell 666. This will come into play later. Dyonathan's life seemed bizarre, but not yet extreme. This would change by July of 2008. In 2008, Dyonathan became a fan of Francisco Dias Pereira, the Park Maniac. Francisco Dias Pereira is a serial killer who murdered 11 people between 1997 and 1998 in the state of Sao Paulo. He became an idol for Dyonathan, who soon wanted to surpass his record. Mixing this with his religious fanaticism, he developed the modus operandi. Dyonathan would bring his victims to isolated areas by knife point, ask them if they believed in God, and proceed to ask them questions about their virginity and sexuality. Using their answers, Dyonathan would determine if they were impure, and if he decided they were, he would kill them. On July 2nd of 2008, Dyonathan was struck for the first time. On that day, Dyonathan encountered his neighbor, 33-year-old bricklayer Catalino Gardina. Catalino was a homosexual alcoholic, which disgusted Dyonathan to the point of him deeming Catalino impure and killing him. Dyonathan used a plastic bag to suffocate Catalino to death before stabbing him in the chest. He left Catalino's corpse in an empty lot with the phrase INRI written on a nearby piece of paper, saying for Jesus, King of the Jews. Catalino would be Dyonathan's only male victim. After killing Catalino, Dyonathan waited over a month. He would strike again on August 24th. On that day, Dyonathan encountered 24-year-old Leticia Neves de Oliveira. She was a lesbian gas station attendant, and her sexuality was likely the reason Dyonathan deemed her impure, and so he manually asphyxiated her to death and left her half-naked body in a cemetery. Exactly a month later, on September 24th, Dyonathan encountered a 17-year-old girl named Carla. There's very little known about this encounter, but what is known is that Dyonathan will ultimately deem her pure and spare her life. Dyonathan will wait until October 3rd, when he committed his final crime in his killing spree. On October 3rd, Dyonathan encountered 13-year-old Gleicia Kelly da Silva, who was a drug user. Her murder was odd because she wasn't homosexual. It's likely Dyonathan targeted her because he thought her drug use was impure rather than her sexuality. Dyonathan asphyxiated her to death and left 2 notes. The first read Corpse of 4 in English, and the second read See you next hell in Portuguese. Dyonathan's plan was to take a break after killing Gleicia and return after Yule of 2009. When Dyonathan wrote See You Next Hell, he was really trying to write See You Next Winter, but fucked up. Dyonathan's plan to take this break would ultimately never happen. Soon after Glacia's murder, an Orkut post commemorating her life was made. While most of the comments were expressing condolences and support for her family, one user would comment, "Dead people can't receive screeps, you sickos." This user would be called DogHell666. Police would become suspicious of this account and would check Glicia's phone, finding that she had exchanged calls with a number matching the account's phone number, and on October 9th, Brazilian police arrested Dyonathan Celestrino at his home. Inside Dyonathan's room, police would find a note reading Catalino dead, Leticia dead, Carla saved. According to investigator Maria Dolores Salzacano, Dyonathan would admit to his admiration to Francisco Dias Pereira, saying that he wanted to surpass him in victim count. Dyonathan was sent to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. He was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Dyonathan would receive the maximum prison term for minors in Brazil, being sentenced to 3 years in prison. He was subsequently transferred to the Une de Ponta Porra, where he would become known for assaulting guards and other inmates. By 2013, Dyonathan was nearing the end of his mandatory prison term at 21. However, Brazilian courts ruled that Dyonathan was likely incapable of living a normal life outside of prison, so his prison sentence was indefinitely extended. During this process, Dyonathan's mother and aunt helped him escape prison on March 3rd, 2013, fleeing to Horqueta, Paraguay. During his escape, two fake Facebook accounts were made pretending to be Dyonathan, one of which threatened to start a murder spree at Dourados. Dyonathan was recaptured on April 27th. He would claim to be a hitman to the Paraguayan population, although the Brazilian government would confirm this was not true. Dyonathan was shipped off to the Campo Grande penal institution after he was captured, where he remains. Since his recapture, Dyonathan has seemingly been well behaved and is pursuing a degree in environmental resource management while maintaining regular contact with his family. He has also attempted to appeal convictions he received for crimes he committed in prison, with little success. Dyonathan Celestrino is currently 34 and remains incarcerated due to Brazilian courts ruling he was indefinitely incapable of living in society. It remains unclear whether he will ever be released. This will conclude this video. Happy to be posting on YouTube, and I hope to help the quality of my videos going further. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Goodbye and stay safe.